incremental workloads in Fabric needs pipeline logic with watermarks and state tracking and so on. The copy job takes all the burden from you and does all this automatically. Plus CDC. We have a bunch of demonstrations prepared, and we will have a look into the architecture, the do's and don'ts, and also the common community questions. So let's start with our decision tree. So we start off with I need to move data into Fabric, which is a pretty common request into Fabric. So this is our goal, or this is our problem statement, both. So the first question for decision is, do you need real-time streaming? Real-time. Just think about that a lot of import stuff in Fabric works near real-time. Not everything, but in general, there is some differentiation between real-time and near real-time. So now we are talking about real-time. So if you say, yes, I need real-time streaming, then the choice is EventStreams with continuous ingestion. So, well, this is a different chapter. We have a different video on that. When you need real-time, just go with EventStream. Next question, if you say, no, I don't need real-time, so no. Then the next question is your source a supported source? Supported source for mirroring. Mirroring is near real time. So that could be a way and say, okay, yes, I have a supported source like SQL Server for mirroring. Then the question is, do you need write control? Write control. What is meant with write controls? Like, do you need to modify the data, or do you need to map the column, something like that? No, not really transformations, right? Just a little bit of write control. I say, okay, no, I don't need write control. I don't need scheduling. Do everything on midnight or something like that. I don't need column mapping. No. Then mirroring is the way to go. Mirroring. It's free, it's near real time, it's read only. When you need more control, then, so when you say yes, then the copy job, there we go, is your tool of choice. It's stateful, it has write modes, and so on. So let's go the other way around. Let's say you don't have a source that has support for mirroring. No. Yeah. Then next question is, do you need complex orchestration? Orchestration. Like conditional logic, like loops, like something that, right? If you say, okay, yes, I need that. Then the question is, okay, do you still want built-in incremental tracking? Still built-in incremental tracking. Do you still need that? Yeah? If yes, well, then you are at copy job. Again, inside a pipeline. If you say no, I don't need I don't need built-in incremental tracking. Then you are at the pipeline copy activity. Which is just full control manual watermark, no automatic watermark. So basically, real-time, yes, event stream, no, then mirroring, yes, when you are on the mirroring side. When you when you still need write control, you are on the copy job side. When you don't have support for mirroring, but still want to use incremental tracking, then you're on the copy job side. Otherwise, you are on the pipeline copy activity, which gives you more control. When you say, I don't have no complex orchestration, then you are again on the copy job side. So 3 points of copy job, 2 times like a vanilla copy job, 1 time it's copy job inside of pipeline because it still gives you all the watermark stuff. Okay, so let's have a look at the copy job in practice. I've created a new workspace with a SQL database and a SQL Analytics endpoint. The SQL database has the sales LT sample database already applied. So you most likely know that this is a demonstration database from Microsoft. And what we can do now is we can deploy a simple copy job. Let's go here, copy job. There we go. To copy the data to the Lakehouse, but first, let's create a Lakehouse. I think that makes more sense. Lakehouse. There you go. Demo DB. Demo Lakehouse. Like that. Let's create. That's pretty straightforward. Let's go back to our workspace and let's create a copy job. There we go. To copy our data from the SQL database in Fabric to the Lakehouse. Technically, this is not needed because we have automatic mirroring. But well, that's, I think, okay for demonstration purposes. So I've created my connection to the database. It's fairly simple. You need to go to the connection string and copy the relevant parameters. So currently it's now loading the tables. Tables are loaded. So let's select the whole database. There we go. We have 2 views, which is okay. Let's go next. And for the target, we have already created our Lakehouse. This is a demo Lakehouse. We have 2 options, the full copy and the incremental copy. For the first step, we'll go with the full copy. Obviously, if you're changing the data, this is not ideal. And you have 2 ways, because we have selected a Lakehouse as a target. We can go with tables and files. We want to go with tables. Now we can edit our table mapping. For us, this is fine. You see the schema there. This is okay. So let's say save and run. So then the copy job is obviously saved and it is directly executed. And so I will come back once the execution was successful. So let's check. Let's check the run history. It succeeded. That's good. Which means we can go to our demo Lakehouse. Refresh the tables. And as expected, we see the sales, LT, and product, and so on. So let's just click on one to check whether there's data. And yeah, that looks good. So as I mentioned, this is not really efficient when you run this copy job several times and always do a full copy. So let's basically fix that and go to our workspace, edit the copy job. Yeah, you see, by the way, there is the V order, which is pretty important for performance. Here's the write mode, append, overwrite, and merge preview. But in our case, we want to fix the replication setting. We see two different connections here, one regarding the source and one regarding the target. So copy job helps you a lot. A copy job gives you amazing automation, but what's happening inside of a copy job? Let's have a look. We start off with data sources. With, for example, databases. Like, I don't know, SQL Server, Oracle, PostgreSQL with storage, like S3, ADLS, GCS with SaaS solutions like Snowflake or Dataverse. Anything that can give you data. It might even run through a gateway. All of these sources. So, and with the gateway, we are in the networking layer. This is the networking layer. Gateway might be an on-prem gateway. On premises. It might be a VNet gateway. Or it might be a direct cloud gateway. Anyway, we are in the networking side. What's next is there is the copy job engine. Copy. And the copy job engine starts with ITO, which is the intelligent throughput optimization. This is ITO. This is the first step. So all of these ways, either through gateways or through direct cloud, end up in this ITO, intelligent throughput optimization. Then we have a state manager that manages, obviously, the state. The state manager does three different things. First, it manages the Watermark store, last modified date. Secondly, it manages the CDC, change data caption, offset store, last modified, last changed, right? And the file timestamp store when you talk about files. So these three things, and this is the copy job engine with like the magic that works for your favor. These three components and the state manager provide the magic that works for you. Then we have out of the copy job, because it's a copy job, we have destinations. And these destinations are addressed by the copy job engine. And the first question is auto create tables. Should the tables be auto created? The next question is, should the tables be truncated before load? And then the question is the write mode. As you remember, you have append, you have overwrite, and you have merge or upsert. These three. And this is like the destination. This is also part of the copy job engine in some degree, but it's not the core engine. So this is how the copy job works. We have input, like data sources. We have the networking part. Then we have the core engine with ITO and the state manager. And then the data is written to tables with different modes. It's quite simple, but it's amazing helpful. Okay, so let's create a new copy job for our copy job. Let's say div copy or delta copy. So now the wizard pops up again. So I've selected our SQL Server, all the tables. I can go back and show you. So basically that. I will select the same target. And now I say, hey, incremental copy. We can override the destination on full load if needed. We don't want to do that at the moment. And we will append the data at the end of the table. Currently, we haven't changed anything in the source database, so there shouldn't be anything interesting there that can be copied. And what we need to select now is the so-called Watermark column, where the copy job can learn which row is new or has changed. So I have selected the Watermark column and set it to most of the tables for the modified date. For the views which will not be updated at all, I've set it to the ID and thought that I should have excluded the views. So let's maybe go back and exclude the views because it doesn't make sense in that way. So let's do it like this. And ups, yeah, incremental copy. And was probably I need to wait. So I will come back once everything is ironed out here. This takes some time. Okay, I'm back with the modified dates here, now a little bit cleaned up. So the summary is we have our source, we have now an incremental copy, the connection name to that destination. The alignment here is a bit weird. This is because of my screen resolution for the demonstration. So let's save and run. We don't expect any changes here because we didn't change anything on the source database. Still, this will take a short amount of time, so we will see the run history. You see it's not started yet, and I will come back once this finished successfully, and then we can change data in the source and see how this replicates to the target. So our run history is succeeded according to our bell. So let's check. It's currently still in progress in the UI, which is a bit funny. Let's check that in the copy job. Again, we have our div copy here. It succeeded, yeah. So there was like an updating error. That's good. So our incremental copy, which didn't do anything because, well, we didn't change anything, finished. So let's check our Lakehouse. So you can see it like this is our data here, right? We can sort it by modified date descending. You see the product ID, the highest product ID is 940. But let's go to the sales order headers, where we have also a modified date. You can sort by descending, and you see 71774 is the newest order modified date, which comes basically from last year. So, well, nothing changed here. Everything is great. So I've prepared some SQL code which creates some new orders in the order header and order detail table with random customers and random products just to change some data. Essentially, we will create 50 records. So let's run that script and let's create these 50 records. So it started executing. One of the big benefits of the copy jump activity is that we have different copy modes, full versus incremental versus CDC. Let's have a look how these different modes operate in a different way. We always start with our source database. Source database, like this. And the next step that we will have a look at is a copy job engine. Next step. Then we have the state manager. And finally, we have our destination. Like that. So let's start first with the full copy mode. Full copy mode means the copy engine asks first, select everything from table. And what it will get back, obviously, is all rows on every run. And what's happening then is the copy job engine. Oh, excuse me, I did write it the wrong way. How to source it? Let me iron that out. I was one swim lane too far on the right side, but I think it's easily solvable, like that. So there we go. Most probably you did see that, I didn't. So let's jump to yellow. Let's repair that. Next. So again, we are in full copy mode. We select everything from our source database, and the source database will receive all rows. Obviously. Then the copy job engine will write all rows to our destination. So no need for any watermark or something like that. No state tracked. No state tracked. So next, let's have a look at the incremental way. Incremental. with Watermark. Okay, makes it a little bit more visible. So what happens now is that the copy job engine asks the source database, select everything where modified date, MD, is larger than Watermark. So everything since the last Watermark. And what it will get, all new or updated rows. Before it can ask the database, it has to read, the copy engine has to read the last Watermark, read, from the state manager, and it will of course get back the last Watermark date. Then it has all the modified rows, and it will write or append or whatever is needed, append or merge the rows on the destination. And the copy job engine will update our Watermark on the state manager. If there is a write failure, obviously the Watermark is not advanced, so it counts like this was not written. The next case is the CDC replication. With the CDC replication, first it reads the last CDC offset. Read last CDC offset. It will get some LSN equals something. And then it will read from the source database the CDC read, CDC change feed from the given LSN, the provided LSN. And it will get back all inserts plus updates plus deletes. Next, it's pretty similar regarding the destination. It will merge the changes. Apply inserts, updates, deletes. And last but not least, it will update the CDC offset to new LSN. So this is how it works. It's simple to draw, but it's quite a complex way, and especially given the fact that you don't need to implement anything, you can just use it, I think it's pretty perfect. Okay, so we have added new orders. Let's check. By the way, I did that with Visual Studio Code. During the demonstration, I copied the SQL code in the analytics endpoint, which has obviously no read-write permissions. So let's check. We are in our SQL database copy. That looks good. Let's create a new SQL query to check that. Okay, so the new data is in here. We see our modified dates and results. So everything looks good. So let's rerun our copy job. There we go. That's why we do everything. We have this diff copy. Let's run, and then we can check whether the new data is also in the Lakehouse. You see the order date here is the February of this year, so that should match. And once the diff copy runs through, we should see the same data in the Lakehouse. So the run is successful. The run is successful. So let's check our demo Lakehouse. We can query the sales order header or the sales order details, and I think we should run a SQL query to get that a little bit straight and easy. I will prepare a query and come back with a query. That's easier to see. Now we have used exactly the same query than before against the SQL database, against Lakehouse, and you see that all the information was properly copied to our Lakehouse. So the copy job works, and of course it's much easier with the watermark columns to copy just the data that you really need. So, well, step is to run database in Azure. I have prepared one here with basically exactly the same data. So we can log in here. Let's make it a little bit larger. There you go. There you go. So you see the tables. It's the same schema, but one big difference. I have enabled CDC, which means change data capture. So when we now create the next copy job and the next Lakehouse for this purpose, to make a copy from the SQL table in CDC, in Azure with CDC, it's even easier because we don't need the watermark columns anymore. Change data capture tracks all the changes against the database and can apply them immediately. So let's jump back to Fabric and let's configure the connection to our Azure SQL database with CDC. Okay, so now I have the connection to my Azure SQL database. We have a lot of SQL databases today. I select all the relevant tables. Please don't select the CDC tables, and we don't need the views in this case. And you see there is a small CDC icon already in there, so CDC was detected, which is great. We will make an incremental copy to our CDC Lakehouse. The table mapping is currently running, and once this is done, we should easily can go through without selecting the watermark column because this is now handled by the CDC. So let's jump over here. Oh yeah, and I need to select the update method merge, my fault. So now we need to define the key columns. So I will do that and then come back to you once you see the refresh is running, once this is refreshed. So we have now merge selected as update method. All the table mappings are correct. So let's hit next. And yeah, placeholder have CDC enabled. So that really looks great. And we can now do a save and run. This is now doing an incremental copy, which is not so interesting for CDC, but I will prepare a script that does some modifications. And then we can see that the copy job is handling the CDC properly. Okay, so now we are ready for the CDC part. So I will start inserting, modifying, and deleting data in the Microsoft SQL database, and we can see that with the SQL commands that summarizes the changes. So let's run. In the meantime, I can explain you there we go. No, there we go. So this is basically a SQL query that shows all the changes of today in CDC. So I've executed the CDC script. Let's check. So we have at the moment no changes in here. So let me rerun the script. Maybe something went wrong. We'll do that. And we have the same script on the Lakehouse side. It's here. So we can check whether the stuff arrives in the Lakehouse after our copy job, of course. So yeah. So CDC script is running. There was something wrong before. And we should see some results. Currently not yet. So as you can see, we will basically get like a daily report what's happening today with instant updates and deletes, and we will query directly the CDC table. So this gives us an idea what happened there. So yeah, let's run it and then let's check what's happening. Okay, so CDC script is running. So we are doing some inserts and some deletions and so on. And in between we can run this the copy job, the CDC copy job, and check whether the stuff arrives in the Lakehouse. So let's see the run history. This will of course not really time very well, but still. Well, this is our result. So let's check. You see we have already the inserts here, right? So these inserts are in the SQL database, and let's check whether they are also in the Lakehouse, in the target Lakehouse. So we are now in Fabric. Yep. And you see it's a table type. That's okay, but currently no data arrived, which I think is absolutely okay since the copy job is still running. You see it in that indicator, and also in the run history is currently in progress. Okay, so copy job went through. I've executed the whole thing and at the source, so we have 20 rows affected. Copy job is currently running the second time and has succeeded. So let's check whether this is already in our target Lakehouse. We see we have 7 records affected currently with new orders. This was the first step. We have 1 row affected with an update, and we have 0 rows affected with deletions. So at the moment, not everything is queryable in the Lakehouse, but after some seconds, this will work. So this took some time. So still 0 records, but we see already the additions. This is of course a little bit cache related, but in the end we see that with CDC we don't need watermark columns, and the changes are propagated really nicely through the copy job. So mission accomplished, so to say. We can run that several times. At some point we will see that there are also then the deletions and the updates listed. At the moment there are only the new orders with the 7 records affected. Mention that you can embed the copy job in a pipeline, but basically what's the difference? So when we have the copy job alone, this alone artifact, Then you have the configuration, source, destination, and mapping. Config, source, destination, and all the mappings. So this is like the copy job alone. This goes into the state manager with watermarking and CDC offset. And this then goes in the copy engine, which is, by the way, the same than the copy activity. So this is the copy job alone. When you have a pipeline, let's say a data pipeline here, and you want to integrate the copy job activity in the pipeline, then the pipeline starts off with a trigger. Schedule, something has changed, manual, you name it. It does some pre-processing, like a stored procedure, like a notebook, something you need to do before. And then it invokes the copy job activity. Copy job activity. The same that you can define standalone is now invoked. And after the invocation, there is a return status returned that is then passed to the next activity, which usually questions for success. And if yes, there is some kind of post-processing. And if it was not successful, there is some kind of error handling. So you see, it's pretty similar. You define your copy job alone, and then you can invoke the copy job, but the success handling is a big difference, and of course the pre-processing that you can do. So you can say to some degree it's kind of a best practice to embed a copy job always in a pipeline, even if it's the only activity in a pipeline. I think that's a fair point, at least from my point of view. If we look at the pricing model, pricing is always related to CUs, capacity units in Fabric, so we will talk about CUs. Let's compare the pricing model of the copy job versus the pipeline copy activity. Not the copy job activity, just the copy activity. The difference is that in the copy job activity, you have everything like watermarking and CDC, so the state manager, versus in the pipeline copy activity, you don't have watermarking or CDC, so no state manager. So let's have a look. When you do a full copy in the copy job, it costs you 1.5 capacity units per hour per ITO unit. You remember the ITO was over here, Intelligent Throughput Optimizer. It's like the orchestration engine. So full copy, it's the same rate on the side of the pipeline copy activity, same rate. Because it's the same job and you don't invoke the state manager. Things become a little bit more different when you do incremental copy. When you do incremental copy, it costs you 3.0 capacity units per hour per ITO unit. When you do the pipeline incremental copy activity, it costs you the half, 1.5 CU per hour per ITO, yeah, plus 0.0056 CU per activity run, but you have on the plus side the manual watermark or whatever effort. This is on your side. This costs you, of course, CUs. Yeah? So let's have an example because this is quite abstract. Yeah? So let's say you copy 1 terabyte CSV to Lakehouse. It's just, well, it's February 2026, so things can change. But for now, for a full copy, you have approximately ITO 256 for 11 minutes. 11 minutes equals 70.4 CU hours equals approximately $13. Depends on your reservation, you name it. Just it's more for comparison, right? When we talk about incremental, huh? 1 gig new data. Then we have ITO equals 4 for 1 minute. Means approximately 0.2 CU hours. Means approximately 4 cents. Around that. So this is, of course, related to this one here, the full copy and the incremental copy, right? Because as you see, the costs on the copy activity are basically always the same because you have to do the additional work. But in that way, you have an idea what the cost is. About our community question. So when should I use copy job versus copy activity inside a pipeline? What's the actual difference? So the data movement is the same, hopefully, because both works perfectly. Yeah? But you have different costs attached, and you have the state manager, which can be a big plus. So basically, the data movement from copy activity compared to copy job is into a first-class artifact. So the copy job it's on a different level, right? So for the mental model, it's mirroring, fully managed copy job. You configure something, Fabric manages the state, pipeline, you control everything. Yeah. So this is the question you should ask yourself, and this is a question I hope I could answer in that video. Yeah. Next question. Hey, the copy job duplicates rows in append-only mode. It is duplicating. How do I prevent this? Yeah. So yes, there were user reports about that. When you have that issue, the solution is a PySpark deduplication script after copy, because the upsert support was later added for Lakehouse destination, and with the upsert support, this scenario is resolved. Next question. Why is the copy activity 20 times slower than Dataflow Gen 1 for simple one-to-one copy? That's a core question. 200K rows take 20 minutes via copy job versus 1 minute in Dataflow Gen 1. Why it is so slow? So the root cause in this case was the vOrder compression overhead. So Fabric applies vOrder by default to optimize the read performance, but with the vOrder applied, you have overhead. So tip, you can disable the V-order for faster copies when the optimization isn't critical. And of course, the on-prem gateway performance can also play a role in this game. I want only to copy change data, but replace the destination. So there is like a confusion about combining incremental detection with override write mode. So incremental means what to read, only the changed rows, and override means what to write, replace destination. These are like independent concepts, but I agree the user interface can be confusing. One question is about, copy job performance is slow. Is it just in my region or something like that? There was some reports, but this was related to some local stuff. And again, have a look at the V-order because the V-order can impact performance regardless of the region, obviously. One question is, can I use the copy job with Dataverse as source, the thing from the Power Platform? What are the limitations? So there are specific requirements, and you need to see whether you can comply with these requirements. The alternative would be a Dataverse shortcut or a mirroring for Dataverse. That might be simpler when you need only read-only scenarios. Common pitfalls, I think we have went through all of them. V-order overhead and V-order in general. Append mode duplicates with the upsert mode that is now available. Incremental versus override and the cost stuff. So thank you for attending this time. I would be really happy to see you next time. If you want to get a notify when I release a new video, just hit subscribe on my YouTube channel and you will get notified. Thanks again and take care.